This has been based on a continuous conversation and aspirations to work together with LAUFEN and Snøhetta. So we had these conversations over the years because we do feel we are socially and professionally well aligned. So it's super exciting when we got the call to prepare and help invigorate ILBAGNOALESSI for the relaunch in the spring. So we really jumped on this exercise right away. We looked at the product, we were thinking what it might be or what a LAUFEN design architecture and interior architecture could look like. And we were inspired by the elegant, organic, almost water-shaped forms of the sculpture-like products of ILBAGNOALESSI. And we really wanted to build the whole narrative around that. And we saw that it looked to us like an avian creature, like a swan. And then we were thinking, how could we actually put that in inspirational, visionary cinematography to show the LAUFEN products in a different light. With those 5 renderings, we were getting inspired by the characteristics, the tendencies of a swan, how they move in and out of the water, how they dive and come up for air, and how they like to swim in flocks. So you get different zoom in and scale out. You get different senses of being at a place. You're at the fjord, you're looking at the building, you see this building with a diagonal cleave, very much so like a swan's plumage, the feathers when they're curled inwards. Then you also see the products floating in the water with the swan beneath them, with them. Then all of a sudden the swan dives into the water and these gorgeous, bulbous, soft, organic products, the sink, the bidet, the bathtub are found object on the ground. And then there's an array of feathers, a rotation of very much like the feathers of the swan that shows one of the sinks, the cabinets a bit better. We have a bit more fun. It's almost a little psychedelic. And then from there you go even further into the belly of the swan and you have that cavernous inside with this soft textural quality, almost like an interior landscape, if you will, till you zoom all the way out again and now you're above one of the houses looking down on those little white boats or swans, or are they the sinks of the ILBAGNOALESSI? We are always inspired by concept. So with us having landscape architects, interior architects, designer, product designer, all under one roof is a natural fit that we kind of want to move around within the discipline and have all discipline have a voice. It's going to be much deeper rooted in a context if you can have all the discipline come to the table. At the heart of all of Snøhetta's project is a commitment to enhance the built environment, to shape the conditions, the human conditions, and to design for the longevity of the planet. Our interdisciplinary design approach wants to make sure that our projects always work from a poetic but also from a pragmatic standpoint, that human-centric design works in conjunction with sustainable building performances. Snøhetta is not the name of a person, but it's the name of a mountain in Norway. And it's not the highest mountain in Norway. I think it's only the second highest mountain. So that speaks a little bit to the philosophy around the firm. It's not a single name, a single person. There's many offices in many places in the world, and they all contribute different, cultural, regional characteristics to the whole. This is in a long line of continuous dialogue between LAUFEN and Snøhetta, because we do think socially and professionally we are very well aligned. We have similar values. We understand the value of design, sustainability. When a well-designed product, well-made product comes in the market, it stays there for many, many years to come. And really, that's kind of an important value. That's the biggest value, longevity. Great design products, they stay in a space for a long time, and Laufen does that superbly. The importance of sustainability and the environment and building according to those norms, or actually setting those goals before governments even set them, before there was a regulatory norms and codes out there, was always at the heart of our practice. And that started 20 or 30 years ago with our first project, the Alexandria Library, where we already tried to include some of those principles and strategies, for example, with passive ventilation, passive cooling and heating, etc. Many of these principles that are norm today, we already started them a long time ago. It's always been a priority for our practice. I made a conscious decision to leave the smallness of Switzerland. But then now I'm in New York, but I work for a firm that is from Norway, another small but large country. So there's parallels between those two countries. And then we also have this project in Canada, which regards itself as a Nordic country, also being aligned sometimes with the Nordic design aesthetic at times. So I think it's super exciting to have all these different moments where you're very much of the place you're from, but then you're doing something that is radically different. For example, at the One Vanderbilt, the Summit project, which is in the center of Manhattan, high up in the sky, there's this moment, as the name Summit says, where we create or recreate that alpine feeling. At the summit, we introduce spaces that are tactile, softly around the corners, curved soffits, warm materials, quiet and subtle spaces, an interior landscape that is stitched together by sensual experiences. These in-between spaces help us focus and refocus our attention toward ourselves and those around us. But most importantly, they afford us a moment to sit back, relax, be quiet, and enjoy the best views across the city. There's something very interesting, and that's the duality between the walk-through experiential design of the reflective mirror installation by Kenzo Digital and the Snøhetta design space that is through all the stories and anchors the space. So we really try to find, on one hand, a balance between the two very different parts of the experience. On the other hand, it also makes it exciting if you have a few notes that are a bit higher, and the way it comes together, a dialogue, at times harmony, and at times energy. So it's something that we're very, very interested and very excited about it. And I think in this project, it's just the two parts are very well balanced. So they really become like as a whole, a very exciting place to visit that gives a lot of people the opportunity to engage with the city, with themselves, with their friends and the other guests in very unique ways. Thinking about a journey, a visitor journey, or the storytelling in especially something that is experienced by many, many people was a very important part, especially for this project, because we really cannot control who all goes up there. So you kind of want to define a variety of experiences a little bit. So it's not too didactic though and dogmatic for everybody. I don't really like when people want to tell me what I should feel. So I do feel like there's something for everybody. Experiences they can take away from, or they can also walk away from all the other visitors. There's all these moments where you can kind of hide away a little bit, which I do think is very unique, especially in that project. These quiet, these subtle moments of pause, of rest, of reflection. Prioritizing the senses, the elemental senses, has been always a very important part of our practice, or what we still want to be focusing in on, those elemental senses and these moments, these true feelings, being authentic, being unique. I remember when I used to visit my grandparents, they lived in Chur, the capital of Grisons, so there's a lot of, Zumthor, a lot of interesting buildings there. And when I was little, there was always this church, and I think it was maybe a 60s, 70s brutalist church, and I just thought it was so interesting looking how the cross came off the facade and was in concrete, like, Sichtbachstein and béton brut, and it just looked so fantastic. Nothing like you would see on the village I grew up. And I was always curious, who did that? Why does it look like that? It doesn't look like, Chur was that more progressive than where I was from, which was from the area around Zurich. But there was just something to it, something very immediate, which I thought was super exciting. So I'm thinking that Laufen, to me, excels through a commitment of great quality, great design, and the foray into sustainability. Sustainability is just a topic of the future. Everybody is now coming to that, but I feel Laufen has been thinking about that for a while already, and so have we. For many, many years. So I think hopefully together we can take strides and take the challenges on of the future. Every time you move something, you move an object, you create something new, you use resources, valuable resources, so you better make sure that you put an immense focus on what you're doing, how you're doing it, with whom you're doing it. And that has always been something we really liked about Laufen. I liked about Laufen, being Swiss. I know the product quite well, so well. It's once it's in a Swiss apartment, it never gets out. So this commitment to quality in the production, using the right products, the engineering, but also commitments to good design that goes with the time, but it has also a timeless classic element to it. Finding that right balance is something that Laufen does so well. And we at Snøhetta try to do something similar. And that's why I feel we're so well aligned and are so interested in this collaboration and how this will be moving forward together to hopefully make this a better place for everybody.